Hey guys, really nice to see you here. Here at Active Spirit we have an ab theme, and in this video I want to introduce you to the theme, give you some really nice, interesting insight about your core, specifically how to make it stronger and also how to really connect with it. So the goal of the theme isn't a six-pack goal. So we're not trying to teach you on how to get a visible six-pack. As much as a six-pack is really nice to have and a lot of people want it, it's not the most important thing in our lives. We want to have a strong core and a core that is functional. And that is the aim of what we're going to teach you this month. Having a visible six-pack really boils down to your genetics and also your body fat percentage. So if you just happen to be a person who tends to store more fat on the belly, it's going to be so much harder for you to have a visible six-pack. But that doesn't mean that your core isn't strong or functional or that you're not healthy. So to start off, I want to explain to you a little bit about core anatomy. So a lot of people tend to think that the core is made up only of the abdominal wall. But in reality, the core is actually made up of 4 elements. We can actually visualize the core as like a box where you've got the diaphragm at the top. The diaphragm is the breathing muscle. You have the muscles and connective tissues of the transverse abdominals. And then you have the pelvic floor underneath supporting everything, and also the muscles of your lumbar and thoracic back. So the core is actually not just the abs, but it's a whole unit, and all of the elements need to work properly on their own. They need to be functional, and then they also need to work really well together and have a synergistic relationship. So they need to work in synergy with each other. Since the diaphragm, which is our breathing muscle, is part of our core, when we breathe, our breathing is going to have a direct impact on the core. So when we inhale, the diaphragm is going to move down, and as a result, the abdominal wall is going to stretch and relax outwards. The pelvic floor is also going to relax and stretch downwards. So as we inhale, the movement in the diaphragm is going to have an effect on all the muscles of the core. So on our inhale, all the muscles of the core are going to relax and stretch. Think of it as kind of a space creation movement so that the lungs have space to fill up. And then as we exhale, the opposite is going to happen. The diaphragm is going to move back up. The abdominal wall is going to very gently contract and move back inwards. And the pelvic floor is also going to gently contract and move back up. So in summary, every time we inhale, all the muscles of the core relax and stretch, and as we exhale, all the muscles of the core are going to very gently contract and compress. So because of this activity that the breath drives in our core, we can say that breathing is like a free core workout, because every time we inhale, the muscles of the core are going to go through a relaxed phase, and every time we exhale, the muscles of the core are going to go through a contract phase, which is basically the exact same thing we do when we're training our muscles in our kind of traditional way. When we're doing like a bicep curl, we're relaxing the muscle and then contracting it. So if we breathe properly, deeply, using our diaphragm, then our core is going to get this free workout. However, if we breathe shallowly, blowing up the chest as opposed to using the diaphragm and seeing the movement in the tummy, then we're going to miss out on this free core workout. So we're going to use the breath to help us to connect with our core. And you can practice this with a breathing exercise. You can lie down flat on your back, and you can place one hand on your tummy and one hand on your chest. As you inhale, try and make the inhale nice and long, and you should feel the tummy rising. So the hand that's on your tummy should slowly lift up, whereas the hand that's on your chest should remain pretty still. And then as you exhale, you should feel the hand on your tummy moving gently back down as the tummy comes back in. And whilst you're doing this, really try and focus. So as you're doing the inhale phase, can you feel that gentle stretching of the tummy? Like really tune in. It's a bit of like a kind of meditation exercise where you're really connecting with the muscles and trying to feel the activity. So on the inhale, can you feel that stretching of the abdominal wall, that relax? And then as you exhale, even your exhales, try and make them really long. And whilst you're doing that exhale, can you feel the muscles really gently firing up? It's very subtle, so you have to really tune in. Once you can feel that activity in your abdominal wall, start to shift your attention towards your pelvic floor. And as you inhale, can you feel this very subtle relaxation of the pelvic floor muscles? And then as you exhale, can you feel the very subtle contraction of the pelvic floor muscles? We tend to be less connected with our pelvic floor, so the pelvic floor connection will require much more practice and mindfulness. But the pelvic floor is a very important part of the core, and it's really important that we don't neglect it as part of our core connection. So after doing this breathing exercise a few times, you should start to feel a little bit more connected with your core. If you can feel the core activity just by breathing, that is step one in being connected with your core. And then from there, you can do so much more when it comes to your exercises because you're more in control of what your core is doing. Once you're feeling confident with the lying breathing exercise, we can take it up to the next step where you can come into a standing position, and I suggest standing in front of a mirror so that you can see the movement in your tummy as you breathe. You're going to inhale and let the tummy fully relax. So as you inhale, you can see your tummy moving outwards. And then as you exhale, you're going to consciously tense up the tummy, make the muscles hard. So as you inhale, tummy relaxes, stretches and moves out. And then as you're exhaling, you're going to tense up the muscles and make them hard. What you need to make sure is that when you're doing this exercise, you're not sucking your tummy in, because sucking the tummy in is not activating the core muscles, and they look completely different. So over here, I'm sucking my tummy in, and you can see it's like a bit concave. I can't breathe when I'm doing this, and my muscles aren't engaged at all. Whereas when I'm actually tensing up the tummy, it's not concave, I can breathe and talk comfortably, and when I press, it's hard. So you need to make sure that you're not sucking in your tummy, but you're actually activating the muscles of your abdominal wall. When you're doing this exercise, try and connect with your whole abdominal wall. So when you're tensing up, when you're doing the exhale and tensing, maybe at first you feel the top part of your abdominals working the most. But as you go through the reps, try and shift your attention even to the lower parts of your abdominals. It's all about mind-body connection, so the more you think about tensing up your lower abs, the more it's going to happen. It doesn't happen by itself. You have to connect with that area and so slowly start making it happen. So another exercise that you can do that's really going to help you connect with your abdominal wall, and specifically the lower part of your abs, is hip tucks. And you can start this on the floor because it's easier to do it when you're lying down, and then we'll take it up to a standing position. So when you're lying flat, we're going to start off with the same things we did in the breathing exercise. When you inhale, you're going to let your tummy muscles stretch and move outwards. And then as you exhale, you're going to gently tuck in your hips to press your lower back into the floor, and throughout that exhale, you're going to tense up your tummy muscles, bringing your belly in towards your spine. On your inhale, you're going to release, let the tummy relax, and then on your exhale again, you're going to very gently roll the back down into the floor, tensing up the abs, making sure you're making them hard, and visualizing your belly button moving in towards your spine. When you feel comfortable with that in lying, you're going to come up to do it in standing, because you need to know how to do this when you're doing exercises in general. So as much as it's important to do it on the floor, and on the floor it's going to help you even in the lying ab exercises, it's really important that you know how to do it in standing. So from standing, you're going to once again inhale, relax the tummy, and then as you exhale, you're going to tilt the hips in and tense up the lower abs. You don't want to squeeze your glutes, so it's not a glute squeeze. So it's a really small movement, but then this position is what you should be using when you're doing a range of exercises. Whether you're doing a plank, whether you're doing a shoulder press, a deadlift, whether you're doing a lying exercise, you need to have that hip tuck, such as a glute bridge or leg raises or anything that requires you to keep your lower back pressed into the floor. So in summary, if you can master the connection with your core through breathing, you practice the breathing exercise lying down, you practice activating the whole abdominal wall in lying and in standing, and then you slowly start to apply these hip tucks which help you to activate the abdominal wall in all your exercises, it's really going to help you to build a stronger core. Because at the end of the day, every single exercise requires the core to work. So if you can activate your core in every single exercise, then you're getting this free core workout no matter what you're doing.